Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today with Dragonfly. I'm really excited about today's introduction. Recently there was a podcast and a Dragonfly Radio episode that we aired, and an individual reached out and asked me if I had ever heard of laughing yoga. And anybody who's met me knows I'm a firm believer in yoga. I love yoga, spiritual guidance. After loss of family and friends and loved ones, sometimes you need that little extra oomph, and I love yoga. My granddaughter, Elena, is my yoga buddy, and it's one of my things that I enjoy doing for myself. It's something I believe in. But I had never heard of laughter yoga. So today's episode is going to be a little different. It's not going to be, I don't think, as overwhelming as some of the ones we do. This one's pretty uplifting, and I'm excited about it. And for me, laughter is the best medicine. So I'm excited to hear all about laughter yoga. So I would love to introduce to the world Gail. I'm going to hope I say her last name correctly, because everybody who knows me knows I have a challenge sometimes with that, but Kavelman. Is that right, Gail?
Yes, that's right, Kavelman. Yeah.
Okay, so welcome to Dragonfly Radio, Gail.
Welcome. Thank you so much, Joy.
I'm curious. What is laughter yoga? Can you explain it to everybody out here in the world?
Okay, I will do my best.
Okay.
So laughter yoga is a practice that involves prolonged voluntary laughter. And I say voluntary because Dr. Kataria, the doctor who came up with this wonderful idea, said that you do not have to actually really laugh, like genuine laugh, to get the benefits of laughter yoga. But you have to be able to participate physically. There's physical laughter and there's emotional laughter. So laughter yoga is a practice that involves the voluntary breathing, the deep breathing, and the nice wide laugh. Not just your little ha 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 ha, but your actual big burst of laughter that comes from the belly. Okay. It is a practice based on traditional yoga for two reasons, and that is that we borrow the deep breathing from traditional yoga, and we borrow the idea of the mindfulness, being in the moment, okay? Other than that, Joy, we do not do downward dog or upward dog or all those things that you guys do. We basically either stand, sit, or walk around the room.
Okay.
You do not need a yoga mat. You do not need special clothes. You just need to be comfortable and willing to participate and be connected.
Okay, so I'm just on that one. When you're doing laughter yoga, obviously, do you need a soundproof room? Like I have that vision, and I did a little research on it after we.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm like, I guess outside is probably one of the best elements for you.
Outside is great. Now, last night, actually, for instance, my girlfriend came over, and I've been working with her for years. She and I met through laughter yoga, and we did a session out on my deck. So it was a one-on-one session on my deck. Okay. However, I teach it in various places throughout Oxford County. And actually, I like a room that doesn't have windows. And I'll tell you why. As soon as we start to laugh, people start to look. And I am going to do my laugh for you in a little bit. I'm going to show you one of the laughs.
Okay.
But it draws attention, right? And laughter yoga is not comfortable for everybody. As soon as they start to feel like someone's looking at them and watching them, they feel a little bit more inhibited. Okay. So I do really like to do laughter yoga in a room where there's not an ability for someone to stand and be an onlooker.
Okay, that makes sense, because even myself, when I go to, especially in a new environment, if I don't know the instructor, I go to yoga, I'm very self-conscious, about
right.
how I look and my leggings, and, do I look like a fat cow?
Yeah.
That's me, right?
Right.
I get emotional about my presence, and so that would be wonderful, because, I would think the same thing. If I'm in a work environment, I wouldn't want all my coworkers.
Right. And I can't speak for every laughter yoga teacher or leader or every laughter yoga.
No, this is your personal story.
This is my personal preference. And the reason why is because my group is called Laughter Yoga for Healing Hearts, which we'll get into a little bit later. So most of the people that I'm working with have issues with being on display.
Yes.
Feeling like someone's observing. I have even taken on a high-level professionals in the world of medicine and said, you can't come into this group unless you're willing to be 100% participatory. You can't come in here and observe joy, let's say. Like, I'm not going to do laughter yoga with joy and have someone standing off the side observing joy.
Okay.
Because joy is not a specimen. Joy is a person. She has a heart. Her heart needs healing. She's here for this reason. So the only way someone can come into the room is if they're going to be willing to participate. And I make that really clear at the beginning of all my sessions. And I've had people say, oh, okay, well then I'm out of here. Okay, good. Because I'd rather have you leave at the beginning of the session than make one of my participants feel like they're on display.
Okay, I'm glad that's nice to know. So can I ask you then, for yourself?
Yeah.
Why did you choose, when you started looking at options and you know, for your personal story and yoga, why did you go laughter yoga versus another form? Like, I understand I'm not a guru on yoga. I don't know everything about it, but why laughter yoga for you? Like, what was the reason that drew you to laughter yoga?
Well, it starts 10 years ago. I actually, this is 2017. So it was the spring of 2007. My mom had passed away in April. My mom and I were close. I looked after her. My husband and I looked after her, as well as my sisters. My sisters all pitched in and helped whenever they could, but she lived with us, and I was one of her main caregivers. So having looking after her all those days, and it was wonderful. I don't regret a moment of it. When she died, it left a huge hole, first of all, in my heart, but it also left a huge hole in my schedule. Try to imagine that I'm the kind of person that has to fill every waking moment with something. According to my husband, I'm never off. I'm always on. So here I was with this time to fill, and I was feeling very out of my element. So a friend of mine, Ruth, she's a dear friend of mine, has been for years. She dragged me away one day in, I think it was May of 2007, to this Women's Day workshop. I had no idea what laughter yoga was. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I knew two things. Lasagna and cherry cheesecake were on the menu. True story.
Okay, you got me.
Yeah, so as soon as I saw that the menu was lasagna, Caesar salad, garlic roll, and cherry cheesecake, I'm like, okay, I'm going.
I'm hungry.
So I went there with the idea that I would stay till lunchtime and see how it went. The guest speakers in the morning, they were okay, but I wasn't really in the right place to hear their story. Lunch came, it was delicious, and right after lunch, this woman came up to the front, and she said, her name was Donna Costa. She was a laughter yoga teacher from London, Ontario, and she introduced the whole group of about 80 women to what laughter yoga was. And in that moment, Joy, it was like an awakening moment. It was like, wait a minute, I am laughing for absolutely no reason. I'm not being forced to laugh, and it's the best I felt in months. I want to know more about this. And I went to her after, got her business card, and that started the journey.
So for you, yourself, so you started that journey and you got into laughter yoga and you found that comfort zone.
Right.
For your personal experience, your grief, loss, and what to do next, how do you feel laughter yoga has benefited your loss with your mom and grief with yourself? What benefits have you personally felt?
For me, Joy, it's not a cure, and I want to make sure that everyone who's listening to this knows that there is no cure ever promised with laughter yoga, as many therapies, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And in fact, I believe Dr. Kataria has said that he will not stand by someone saying that this is therapy. He wants people to realize that this is a choice. This is a choice for everybody, right? So for me, the reason why it works the best, and it has worked for 10 years, is because laughing is one of the hardest things for me when I'm feeling down and feeling sad and burdened with grief, because grief is a process we all have to go through, and we all go through it differently. And I'm not a grief specialist, but I know personally that if I try to ignore the grief, it just whacks me in the face. If I try to push it down, it just comes right back up. So for me, the laughter just keeps me feeling like I'm alive and I'm in the moment. And the one thing I love about laughter yoga is that it is intentional laughter. It's not the laughter when you do something silly and you laugh at yourself. That just happens. That's spontaneous laughter. This is intentionally choosing to laugh. And for some people, Joy, intentionally choosing to do anything is a tough thing when they're in grief, right?
Sure.
So for me, it's a huge, and I just feel great after a session. I did laughter yoga last night with Sonia, my girlfriend, out on the deck. My husband had Sonia's daughter, and they went for a walk, and we did for about 25 minutes, and I felt immediately better. I felt lighter. I felt more balanced. Yeah. So.
Okay, that makes sense. I see that. You want to give it a try?
Sure. So what I thought I'd do, now you have to participate though.
Okay, I'm all in on this one.
Okay.
Learning experience.
Great. So laughter yoga was created by Dr. Kataria in 1995. And when he first got it going, he tried using jokes. Well, jokes fell apart pretty quick, as he's often said, because jokes are only going to work if everybody in the room feels comfortable with them. So he went back to the drawing board and said to himself and to his wife, I believe, his wife is a traditional yoga teacher, he said, how do I get intelligent, responsible adults to just laugh for no reason? And she said, basically, tell them the benefits. So I'm going to tell you, Joy, right now, that the one main benefit for me is it increases my oxygen, and it lowers my stress level, and it elevates my mood. So for me, that's 3 things. And right now, you and I are going to do telephone laughter. So we're going to pretend that we're on the telephone, okay? All of these exercises or prompts, as Dr. Kataria, he calls them exercises. Some of the folks in my group prefer the word prompt because it prompts you to laugh. But all of these exercises are just in your imagination. So we're not going to really go on the phone. I want you to pick up your phone, and I want you to, rather than talk, I want you to laugh along with me. And I will guarantee that my laugh is louder than yours, which is probably okay. And I hope I don't burst your recording buttons there. Okay? So are you ready? You got your phone ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Ring, ring, ring. And... And there you go.
Actually, that was fun. I have to say, this is probably one of the funnest things I've ever done in a long time.
Right. So then,
but yeah, I can see the middle, that diaphragm.
That's right. And of course, if you're to do in a session, I teach laughter yoga 3-4 times a week, and in a session of 35 to 40 minutes, you're not laughing straight for 45 minutes. What you're doing is you're doing a number of the prompts or exercises. Then you're doing some deep breathing. You're doing some relaxing. We do a little bit of chatting. We do a mindful moment where we actually just close our eyes and kind of just really try to get into that zone. And then we do more laughter. So in let's say a 40-minute class, you would do probably 3 sets of 5 laughs. So that'd be 15 laughs. Each laugh could last, well, for me, I've got it perfected to about 10 seconds per laugh.
Okay.
So if you're doing that's 50 seconds, 50 seconds, 50 seconds, that's really not very long, but we end up doing 25 to 30 exercises.
Oh, okay.
So you end up doing about 10 to 15 minutes of real laughter. And if you look up on the website, laughteryoga.org, which is Dr. Kataria's site, laughteryoga.org, it says in there has been research now. It's been 1995, so it's like 22 years he's been studying.
Yes.
Yeah, and over the last 22 years, Joy, he has proven that 10 minutes of good, spontaneous, intentional, genuine laughter can lower your cholesterol, it can increase your oxygen levels, and it can actually make you feel better. So there is now scientific research to back up these comments. However, people still have to accept it and buy into it.
Yeah, it still has to be it's a personal choice, right?
It's a personal choice.
Traditional, spiritual, it still comes down to you want to give it a try, and does it work for you?
Yeah.
You have a website yourself. your
Pathways to Laughter. Now, the funny thing is I did it through blog site. So there's a part of that I have to, I think I have to always remember to put the blog site name in there. So I can send you that. Or did I already send it to you? Maybe I did.
I think you did send it to me, because I think I did a little research before we touched out, and I was actually very intrigued on it, because for me, it's all about educating what options there are. What works for one may not work for another, and everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
The fact that you use it with the component of grief and to help families and individuals, to help them to heal, it is an amazing idea. Kudos to you for coming up and bringing something so unique.
Well, Dr. Kataria is the brainwave of the whole thing, and what I've done is made it more personal. And when I go to groups, I do speaking engagements for different organizations. I always make sure that I mention the Laughter Yoga for Healing Hearts. It is my personal goal to make sure that people realize that grief is actually something that we're all going to go through at different times in our life. And if one person can be helped by this, that's what I want to do. And so I go wherever I need to go, and I go as far as I can go. And I've gone as far as Niagara Falls and Hamilton. And there are laughter yoga teachers out there in Hamilton, but word of mouth has gotten me a lot of phone calls. Yeah.
I can see that. Your personality in itself is genuine, and you're that honest integrity. So I actually could see that. For me, now, that being said, are there programs locally, like they're increasing based on what I did on my research, across the South? Is there other places, have you noticed, that are now starting to bring in, like Northern Ontario? Do you know if there's any organization that brings laughter yoga here? Maybe west, east, like?
I was looking on the site before the interview this morning. I was looking on Dr. Kataria's. If you go to laughteryoga.org, there's a spot where it says find a teacher.
Okay.
I was looking on that, and I was sad to see that, like Toronto's got, how many, 10 to 12 teachers. Hamilton's got 3 or 4. Brantford's got a couple. Guelph's got some. Kitchener's got some. But I was sad to see that there wasn't as many in your area.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm not, you're in Greater Sudbury, right?
Yes.
I can't even now remember. It's only been a few minutes since I looked that up, but I don't think there are. And this is what makes me sad, is that, like here in Oxford County, I started 10 years ago, and I had to knock on doors and pound on windows and say, hey, we're out here. Yeah. Now I'm getting calls from like the VON and the Parkinson's group and the stroke support group, and I'm getting calls on a fairly regular basis, which is wonderful. Word of mouth is helping. But it still makes me really sad to think that I'm glad I went. I went down to Hamilton and worked with a group of Indigenous women, and I had a blast. They were fantastic. Makes me sad to think that they had to bring someone from Oxford County to Hamilton when, in fact, there's 10 individuals in the Hamilton area. But again, I think it's the connections, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's even anyone up there, and I would love to do laughter yoga with a group up there, but I'm not sure how that would actually. I can't envision that just yet, but makes me sad to think that there's not more of us out there. Yeah.
And who knows, maybe this will entice someone to give it a try. Maybe one of the organizations locally here will see it, and they'll be like, you know what, let's give her a call. Let's have her come out. And are you willing to do that also, to bring your organization?
I'm willing to travel anywhere in Canada. As long as people are willing to help me with the cost of traveling.
Yes.
Obviously, I work full-time as a program services coordinator at the Ingersoll Library. Yeah. I love my job. I love working with the kids and the youth and the adults. I do work full-time, and I am the breadwinner in this family. My husband is retired now, and so I am the breadwinner. So I will go pretty much anywhere in Canada.
As long as somebody
has to help me get there, right?
I get that. We're a startup, so I understand completely when it comes to budgets.
Yeah.
No, I think this is wonderful, and I'm so glad that you were able to spend time with me this morning, and I can't wait for this to be podcast and broadcast and whatever Leslie magic she does. I think it's unique. It's
It is. And that's a good, actually, that's a good word, Joy, because that's the word that a lot of people say to me after they'll talk to me privately and say, you know, I wasn't really super comfortable at first. And it's a very unique feeling. But I like it. And I have found in 10 years that the people who really give it a fair try end up seeing the benefit. So many people they just think it's weird and they walk away thinking, well, that's just not for me. And really, I understand that because I can't get down and do the downward dog. I don't think it's weird. I think it's wonderful. I just can't physically do it.
Yes.
So I understand that there's something out there for everybody, and this may not be for everyone, but if even one person who's listening today, if this resonates in their soul or their spirit and they want to call me or email me, I'm very open to that. So,
well, I'm definitely going to provide all the information I can with our links and you know, pass on to your sites and all your personal information. I think it's great. I really appreciate you taking the time this morning. I think it's wonderful that there is another option for someone who's going through something, and not necessarily grief. It can be any form of
that's right.
Emotionally, where maybe they're going through a tough or challenging time, and just it can come into so many factors. So I think that's wonderful that this is a choice for individuals out there. Not, like you say, we're not all flexible. I know I have challenges with yoga. I know an instructor here in our community who does suspended, and I would love to try it. I don't like heights. I don't know. But one day I'm going to reach out and I'm going to give it a shot. And we have great instructors here and different options.
Right.
So, and I think it fits very well into this. And I hope that this conversation will enrich somebody else to maybe bring it to another part of the province and enrich other lives, right?
That's right.
Amazing. But I want to just say thank you so much for joining us today with Dragonfly Radio.
Thank you very much. You're very welcome.
Very interesting conversation. And you know what? It's been fun. As much as grief, loss, and what to do next for us is always can be challenging for some, to bring enrichment and enlightenment in someone's life in this way, this component is kind of interesting and intriguing for me.
And I think the last thing I want to make sure that everybody understands is that laughter is a choice. Yep. And sometimes when you're in the midst of the deepest, darkest grief, you know, when you're sometimes, I've been at funerals where all of a sudden someone will burst out laughing and they feel horrible because they think it's wrong. But you know what? It's not wrong.
No.
Laughter is not wrong when it's for the right reason. And that's what I want people to understand, that we're not laughing. We never laugh at.
No.
We laugh with.
Yeah.
We're laughing with the other person. We're not laughing at anything in particular. We're just saying, here's an option, try it. So it's something that people need to understand, that laughter is never inappropriate when it's for the right reason.
Okay. Can you just, before we sign off again, you're on Facebook.
I'm on Facebook, Laughter Yoga for Healing Hearts. Okay. I have my own website, which is Pathways to Laughter, but there's some word there, free blog in there, which I have to get that figured out. And I also actually have a website that I'm working on, which will be up in probably the next few weeks. And it is another laughter yoga. It's going to have where I can do one-on-one and virtual laughter. So,
oh, that's awesome. That's really great. Okay. That's good to know. Yoga classes, just before we sign off, I just thought of that one. So yoga classes here range, vary in pricing between 10 to 20. Is it basically laughter yoga, the same cost factors?
Laughter yoga, I offer it free of charge.
Oh.
I don't charge for my classes. I teach in various locations, and I try to find locations that don't charge me rent. And all I ask is that if someone signs up for 6 weeks, that they stay committed to the 6 weeks so that they're not taking a spot away from somebody else. Okay. I do not charge for my time. Laughter is free. I will charge if I'm going to do like a speaking engagement.
Okay, yes. Yeah, you have to bring value somewhere, Mary, right?
That's right. But the classes that I lead here in Oxford County, I do a class on Friday mornings at the Oxford County Community Health Center.
Okay.
I do not charge for those. They are free of charge.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely going to provide everything I can. Again, thank you for spending some time with me this morning. This has been wonderful.
Thank you, Joy.
And for everyone listening, I hope you had an enrichment. I hope you got some value and merit out of this morning's conversation, or this afternoon's, this evening's, whenever you listen. And for me, this has been wonderful. So thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning with Dragonfly Radio. Again, my name's Joy Warda, And reach out if you have any questions. I'll be more than happy to provide all Gail's contact, and we definitely will provide it on all our tools and resources within Dragonfly Advisory Services. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for joining us.